Ballet is hard. That suddenly turns to pressure that's no longer helping you. Do it scared.
Hi, thank you for joining the Dance Mind Wellness podcast. I'm so excited because today's guest, I'm joined by a beautiful and dedicated ballet dancer, Darla. And what is so amazing about her is that she began dancing at the age of 16 and is now a full-time student at the Orlando Ballet Company. And she trains over 6 hours a day, and her journey shows the reality of serious ballet training, the discipline, the challenges, and the commitment it really takes. And in this podcast, we'll go beyond her story to talk about what it is and how it is like to pursue ballet at a professional level, especially for someone who started late. So I'm so excited. Thank you for joining the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah. To start off, can you tell us a little bit about your journey, what made you fall in love with ballet, and where your training started?
Yeah. So like you mentioned, I started from scratch with zero experience at 16. I was never really into sports or physical activity as a kid. I was very much an art kid. I liked crafting. I liked being in my bed. I liked being inside.
Yes, me too.
Uh, but around 16, when I learned that they had like open adult classes, I was like, why not? It looks fun. Might as well try it. Um, I spent a while just like learning online, just like kind of dipping my toes in, getting some inspiration there. And then when I finally took an in-person class, I like fell in love with it. It was so challenging and I was so out of my element, but there was something so like ethereal and just like pretty. I don't know how else to put it about like the entire craft. And I knew that like no matter what, even if I was just a recreational student, this was going to be a part of my life for the rest of my life. It was so dazzling. I loved all of it. And then from there, I worked my way up. And one of my teachers told me that I had potential to pursue ballet like as a full-time student. And I took off as fast. As soon as I was given that knowledge, I tried my absolute hardest to make it become a reality. And I'm still climbing from there. So yeah, I worked my way up from a one beginner recreational class a week to now training 6 days a week at a pretty big school. It has been quite the journey,
Yeah.
but I'm absolutely loving it, every part of it.
That's so amazing. I love your story, especially the part about when you said that when you took your first open class, there was just something about it that made you fall in love with it. And I think that's what's so amazing about the art of ballet. There's just something to it that like really makes you love it for the audience and the dancer. That's so amazing. Um, and talking about adult like ballet classes, because I know it must have been very scary for you that it was your first time taking a ballet class, right? How did
Mhm.
you how did you build up the courage to, join an adult ballet class?
I That's a really good question. I spent like a few weeks or so trying to like prepare myself for my first class because I feel like a few other adult beginners, I had this like notion that I already had to be flexible. I already had to know ballet to be a beginner in ballet. Um, so I was really scared of like getting to my first class and being the only one who didn't know anything, which is not true, by the way. You can absolutely go to a beginner class
Yes.
and just join without knowing anything. That's why they're there. That's why it's a beginner class. So I spent like a few weeks or so doing like stretching videos at home, like doing like beginner bar classes and whatnot, just to try to like build up a little bit of knowledge. And once I felt like I was okay-ish, like I understood somewhat, then I was like, okay, now I can go try a beginner class, which helped confidence wise, I think.
Mhm.
I still felt very unprepared. when I went to my first class.
Mm.
There is still so much, and that's honestly what I love the most about ballet is there is so much to learn,
Mhm.
and there's so much happening in a class that it's one of those things that you kind of can't prepare for.
Yeah.
Each teacher's going to have a different class. There's going to be different exercises. I'd never seen a frappe before I went, and I was like, I have no idea what that is. But you go and you try it, and you get one, maybe two chances per side, and then you move on to the next exercise. And I think that once I kind of got into the rhythm of like, okay, this is how a class is structured. This is what I'm supposed to do. Like it helped ease that a little bit.
That's so amazing. That's like I notice with you, you really hone in on what you like about ballet, and I think that's so amazing because for me, at least, because I also started ballet, I tend to focus so much on I need to get better at this. I'm so bad at this. But for you, it's so amazing that you are able to really know and love the art. Is there a mindset that you have that helps you distract your brain from thinking all those negative thoughts and really focus on why you dance and why you love it?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I think, and I we can touch on this a little more
Mhm.
in the question about like comparison and imposter syndrome, but I think it's it's still a daily struggle. I'm very perfectionist. I don't love the feeling of being a beginner at something. That was quite a challenge to overcome, even though like I knew that I loved the classes and I like it was also sparkly. I was still incredibly hard on myself
Mm.
when I was starting, and it's gotten better over time with a lot of mindset work. But it is really challenging. Ballet is hard,
Yes.
and a huge part of ballet is mental, like the mental aspect of it and the mental load of being like given so much at once. But I think it's just a matter of really staying connected to that feeling of joy and that something special that's almost like impossible to describe. Because that's why you wanted to start. That's why you're taking the class. That's why you're there. Like whatever the reason is for you, really staying connected to that, even in those like really tough classes or in the moments where you're like I my body's not capable of doing this. Like it will learn. You will learn ballet. Someone once told me that ballet is like a refined art form.
Mm.
So you take little pieces and you learn little tiny bits each class, and then over time it'll come together and it improves. So that focusing on the little daily wins, and then also the why and the feeling help me not focus so much on the chaos that can erupt.
Yeah. Thank you so much for answering. That's a really well said answer, and I'll definitely take that for myself. Going back a little bit with your journey with starting, just taking the first step, how did discovering adult beginner ballet classes change your belief on who gets to dance?
That's a fabulous question. I think starting in adult beginner ballet classes was like the best possible way to start ballet because I was put into an environment with everybody. It was, I mean, from an age, there were people that were younger than me in there. There were like 14-year-olds all the way to like 80-year-olds. So like people of all different careers, all different shapes, all different sizes, all different ages, and we're all choosing to spend an hour and 30 minutes doing the same thing, learning ballet together in the same classroom. Like it was really inspiring to me to be around just so many different types of people. I made wonderful friendships, people that I'm still friends with today. And it really, like when I showed up to that first class and I saw who I was dancing with, I was like, oh, it doesn't there. really, like, anyone can learn this. There isn't that one specific type of person or of body that takes ballet classes. Like, it can be anyone, and it should be anyone. Anyone
Mhm.
can
Yeah.
take a class, please. It's lovely. You'll have fun. Um, it made me feel at ease because
Mm.
it's not like it didn't feel competitive like at all. And I think a lot of like people that grow up doing ballet, we are always surrounded by people your age and you're always surrounded by that same skill level, can be a little more challenging than honestly the environment of an open class, which is a lot more easygoing for sure.
Mm. Yeah. That's so amazing. Yeah. I think I definitely feel like, at least from my experiences, every time I take an open class, the environment and the vibe is much more easygoing. Now that you're at a really big company, a very prestigious company, Orlando Ballet, is it harder now because the environment is more competitive? Or have you, from those beginner classes, have you grounded yourself in your mindset?
That's a really um that's a really good question. All your questions are fabulous.
Thank you.
Um, I would definitely say that I've grounded my mindset. If I was a beginner and I had walked into, like, if I was in that same mindset as before and I found myself in the same situation of being like big school, like, I think I definitely would have kind of out of fear contributed to that competitive. Like, if you expect something out of environment, you're naturally going to contribute the same thing to that environment. But I think because I was coming from a background of dancing with anyone, anytime, it was it was easier to just make friends.
Mm,
We're all going for the same thing. There's space for all of us. Our careers are all going to look different, but if we're here in the same, if we see each other for over 6 hours a day, might as well like might as well make it more a community where we can all learn from each other and inspire each other. And I definitely think that my level at Orlando Ballet, it's 12 of us in class,
mm,
have accomplished that really well. We're all like
mm.
fabulous friends with each other. We do like Dancing with the Stars watch parties when that's on, and like
So cute.
now say like, yeah, I think the ballet world, even in prestigious environments, does not have to be cutthroat, and we often learn better when it's not, because it's so much, when you're in that really pressured environment, it's so much harder to just let yourself dance and to just let yourself, again, refine and take little bits here and there than it is when you're in an environment where it's just like you're just dancing with your friends. Yes, it's serious. Yes, we're all dedicated. Yes, we're there to be a professional, and that demands a lot of you and it takes a lot. But you don't have to hate training when you're in it.
Yeah, that's so well said. That answer is really inspiring and it's really good. Thank you. Like I think that is a really good reminder for a lot of people that like sometimes you don't have to be so hard on yourself. It's like okay to make a mistake. And I think also the reason why you're so successful in your dancing career, especially as someone who you started dancing at 16, is I can really tell that your mindset is very, it's very, I don't know how to describe it. It's very like motivational and positive, and it's not and it you don't beat yourself up for starting having a different journey than others, and it's really inspiring. And yeah, your answer was really inspiring, and it will really help me and a lot of other people. So thank you.
Thanks.
um, and in going with that topic, as someone who didn't grow up training and had a different journey from a lot of people, a really cool and inspiring journey, did you ever struggle with comparison or imposter syndrome? And how did you manage that mentally?
I think this is definitely something that I still struggle with to some degree. It has gotten better. But if you would have interviewed me last year, it would have been an entirely different
Wow.
person. Yeah. Comparison, I mean, like when I first started, just even at a recreational level, yes, it was so inspiring to be around, like, to be in that open class environment, but at the same time, it was really difficult for me to let myself be a beginner. I had a really hard time being okay with being bad at something, even though it was the first time I was trying it. So I was pretty hard on myself when, especially when it was something that was labeled simple, because simple is not easy, especially in ballet. But of course, the people, even if they had been coming regularly, even if they did dance as a kid, when they got it first try, and I still had no idea what we were supposed to be doing, it was quite difficult. So I did compare myself a lot. When I got into a pre-professional environment for the first time, training at the Florida Ballet last year, uh, yeah, I was with like 14-year-olds who could do consecutive fouettes on point, and I couldn't do a single pirouette on point yet. So I think that was probably the hardest section of my training so far, is feeling just really feeling the weight of being so behind everyone else. Um, and then as far as imposter syndrome goes, I didn't feel like I was allowed to call myself a dancer until like summer. I don't like until like there was always like a okay, when I can do this, I can call myself a dancer. When I'm capable of this, I can call myself a dancer. Even though I was dancing all day every day, I was doing it. I felt like or like I kind of just felt like a random person that like waltzed in was like I want to do this too, when these girls had been dedicating their entire lives at this point to this art form. um, Both journeys are incredibly valid, whether you're walking into it newer or you've been doing it your whole life. Like those hold value. They look different, but they do both hold value, and I think that that was a really difficult thing for me to realize. I just recently got to a point where I'm like comfortable with my place as a dancer, which is when I started sharing content like around summer, right, the summer intensive at the Orlando Ballet. So it's been, I would say that that's honestly been the hardest part of ballet training, is it's not the hours, it's not the injuries that you'll get here and there. It's being able to handle the mental aspect of it, and like being capable of keeping yourself in a good place, because it does wear on you, it does, but it just got to a point where I realized it wasn't helpful. It wasn't like it is it changes your dancing majorly when you're setting up and you're walking for your combo and knowing in your head like, oh, I'm not a dancer, I shouldn't be here, as opposed to I'm just gonna try. Like I am a dancer because I'm dancing. We're all dancing. I deserve to be here. It's okay for me to be here regardless of my skill level compared to other people. Like we're all allowed space. Um, so I'm just gonna try the combo, and whatever happens, happens.
Mm.
It was quite a difficult switch to make, and I did a lot of mindset work with a mindset coach that's local to Jacksonville. He is fabulous. He helped me out a ton to get me to the point where I was able to change out of that mindset into more of like a growth mindset where I'm focused on those small wins and the why, and to just have fun and to breathe, because it is difficult for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's ballet is like so hard. What you're saying, I can totally relate because ballet is an art form where you're staring at a mirror and
Mm-hmm.
you're being watched. So it's like very very hard, and I can totally relate. And I know a lot of people can relate to how you were feeling, but and I think it's just so amazing about how you were saying that each journey is like either if you started late or if you started when you were young, they're both valuable. And I think what's so amazing that is that you were in the same class as people who started when they were younger. So it just shows that it doesn't matter when you start, you're in the same place as them. And I think that's just so amazing and it's very inspiring. Yeah.
Thank you.
Um and um moving on to you were saying how you went to the pre-professional program.
Mm.
When teachers or mentors started recognizing your potential, what advice would you give to dancers to receive that encouragement without turning it into pressure?
This is tricky. Um, Sometimes pressure can be a good thing, but if we're not secure enough in ourselves and our dancing, it can kind of tip us over the edge. Um, if your teacher is giving you an opportunity, they're giving it to you for a reason. They're seeing something that you might not be seeing in yourself. Trust your teacher. That's they're doing their job and they're allowing you an opportunity to either grow, an opportunity to push you, like something, opportunity for you to shine, like whatever it be. Um, they chose you. Respect that decision by giving your best to it, and giving your best to that opportunity also means doing the mental work it takes to be able to show up at 100%. So all of the affirmations of I am capable, doing your research on the role or whatever opportunity you might have been given, um, be comfortable with, how do I phrase that? um, like allow yourself to recognize the win. Like you were given an opportunity, and that's a fabulous, that's an incredible thing. Not everyone gets that. There are a lot of dancers that don't get as many opportunities, or and that are still like trying. So like really take that as encouragement and as an opportunity for you to um to grow as a dancer. It is tricky to know that there are eyes on you, especially if you're a dancer that has not had that many eyes on you before. But that's what you want. You're a dancer, you're a performer. You want eyes on you. You
Mhm.
want the stage. So don't shy away from it, because the more that you step into it and the more that you embrace it, the more roles or opportunities you're going to get in the future. And that's
Mhm.
really what you're wanting. So own that.
That's so, that's very empowering. That's a really good answer. Yeah, I think it's so hard to like get into your head and be like, "Oh my god, all these people are watching me." But what you're saying is instead of treating it as pressure, treat it as encouragement and almost like motivation to like keep working harder instead of pressure. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um and cuz I know sometimes I struggle with this too. How do you, there's like motivation and then there's pressure. How do you like, how do you have motivation without having, and you also mentioned there's good pressure too, right? How
Mhm.
do you have motivation and the good pressure without the bad pressure? And like in your experience, how are you able to have motivation and the good pressure?
Um, I would say for the to touch on like the good pressure versus the bad pressure,
Mhm.
good pressure to me is like pushing yourself or being pushed by your teacher when you know that you can give more.
Mhm.
Like when you don't think that you can, but like you can.
Mhm.
Like pushing for that extra pirouette, pushing for holding that balance longer, pushing for a little bit higher of a leg this time, like really going full out and like having that drawn out of you is good pressure. If you're picking yourself apart every single combination, if you're like, no, this has to be perfect, like that suddenly turns to pressure that's no longer helping you. So it's such a tricky line, such a tricky balance, but good pressure will feel good.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, like I'll go for the balance longer. If I didn't get it, that's fine. Next opportunity. If I do get it, yippee.
Mhm.
But bad pressure can be like, oh, I didn't get the balance. Like I didn't like this whole combination is trash. And it's wild how common that is in the dance space, to the point where I've had fellow classmates
Mhm.
um like after the combination in class be like, oh, I did horrible. like, oh, that was so bad. Like, oh, I hope no one saw that. And it's sad because there you're in an environment where you were constantly picked apart, and naturally, especially if you grow up in it, it can you can draw the conclusion that, oh, I have to do that to myself in order to succeed, when in reality you do not. And you will go a lot further if you're not putting that level of pressure on yourself. Like, you don't need to pick apart every single thing that you did horrible. You got to stay in the zone of the good pressure, where it's like, oh, I know that I'm capable of doing more. I know that I'm capable of pushing myself. If I don't get it this one time, that's okay.
Mm.
I have another opportunity. So I think staying in that mindset, and when I feel myself creeping into the, oh, that was horrible, I just be like, well, hold on. Maybe it was, but oh well. Maybe I completely trashed that combination, but I'll go with the last group again. I'll give myself a second chance. I'll see if I can redeem myself, or I'll just move on.
Mm.
I won't let it like fester and eat myself up about it. Like, staying in the place of like just know that you're capable for more, push for more, but be okay if it doesn't happen immediately, because a lot of things take time. For sure.
Mm. That is a really good and inspirational answer. I think it's so amazing how your message or your advice to people, or your just your message and advice, it's very it's very encouraging, and it's very encouraging, and it helps you build a better mindset, but at the same time it pushes you without making you feel down about yourself, which I think it's a really valuable thing to have the balance of being able to push yourself and having that good mindset like you just talked about. So that's really amazing. Um,
Yeah.
you went on point really quickly. Can you talk about your experience with that? Because I know when I went on point quickly, I was very, very timid, and my teachers were like, don't be scared. I'm like, how do I not be scared?
Yeah. I still to this day always get the comment like, don't be scared. You have the strength. Just do it. And it is such a mental block still, honestly. Like, pirouettes on point right now are my biggest struggle. I am
Mm.
still working
Same.
to get past people on point. Um, yeah. Point is scary.
Yes.
Point is scary. I think ideally you're in an environment where you are in ballet for at least a few years. You're in a pre-point class, you are doing all the things to strengthen, and then you're in a regularly, like, because I was also in a very fast-tracked point class.
Mhm.
Um, Ideally, you're in like a point class, you're at two hands on the bar for 6 months, and then you move, like, it is a very slow progression. It's very gradual because you need the time to build up all those muscles. When you just kind of jump in, um, you're you it's really hard to trust your body. It's really hard to trust that it won't do something unexpected, or you won't injure yourself, or you won't like fall. It's there's a lot that goes into point work. And then it's also just such a foreign feeling.
Mhm.
It feels so weird to be dancing on point, to be turning on point, to be jumping in point shoes. Like,
Yes.
you just spent so much effort learning ballet, and then you put point shoes on, and it feels like you have to relearn everything that
I
you
know.
just learned.
Yes.
So it is it is an interesting addition to the art form.
Yes.
What helps me with the fear is just drilling things
Mm.
over and over. It's boring and it's not fun. It's not bedazzling. I don't always put it on Instagram, but just drilling
Mm.
everything that you know that you should be drilling at bar, especially if you're coming into it later, like a ton of extra releves and whatnot, is you just got to build that strength. And then every once in a while, once you're a little more comfortable, you'll do something on point, and you'll be like, I feel like a ballerina.
Yes.
So pretty, and hold on to those moments because they are so crucial. That ethereal feeling that I was chasing from the beginning, like, was like so helpful for me to finally like pinpoint. Um, when I first, like, the first ever time I did a renverse on point and it felt okay, I was like, oh my god, this is insane. This was moment. This it was moment in a momentous occasion. It was like the best feeling I'd ever felt. Um, those little tiny moments will help you realize, like, I am improving. My body is getting comfortable little by little. Because if I had tried that forever ago, it would not have gone well. So, like, it is scary, but your body is adapting all the time. It is building strength all the time. It will learn, it will gather info, it will build strength. You have to let it do its thing. And over time, it'll get there. It'll catch up.
Yes. That is, I can totally relate. I even like it, like point is so like funny because it's so magical, but at the same time it's so like you said, foreign.
Mhm.
And I think that also ties into the idea that you're saying before about the reason why ballet is so fun is because there's always things to work on. Like maybe
Mhm.
you you master doing a releve in flat, and then now you have to master doing a releve in point shoes, and then the pirouette.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
it was very scary. Yeah, that is, yeah, um that's really comforting to hear because I don't hear a lot of other ballet dancers who started point early, and
Mhm.
it's like nice to hear that someone also had the same experience where they felt very scared to go on it and it felt very foreign. Yeah.
What's interesting is that one of the girls in level 6, the level
Um,
above me, we were having a conversation. We were like at the point shoe shop getting at the point shoe shop. Random. We were at a dancewear place getting fitted for point shoes, and she also happened to be there, and we were just chatting, and she was like, oh yep, doing pirouettes on point is so scary. And this is a girl who can do 5 pirouettes on point flawlessly. And it like was wild to me. I was like, wait, you're scared of pirouettes, but you can do them so well. And she was like, yeah, but they're still scary. So I think that really opened my eyes to, like, do it scared.
mm,
You know, sometimes that fear, like, exists to keep you safe, but sometimes your body has the strength and your mind will tell you not to do it anyway, because your mind, its whole job is to keep you safe. That's okay. You can be scared of something, but you can be scared of something and also still have the strength to do that skill. It's
mm,
just getting over the mental block of not being able to do it. So that moment was really helpful to me. Like, seeing a dancer that I look up to also be scared of something that I was like terrified of was like, oh, okay, maybe it's not that bad then. Maybe I can just still do it scared, because I was waiting for this feeling of fear to go away. Like, I was constantly waiting of like, okay, I'll do it when I feel ready. Like, I'll try when I feel ready. But sometimes that feeling doesn't happen.
mm.
Sometimes you're still scared and you're still expected to do the double pirouette. So it's eventually just getting rid of that mental block for sure.
Yes. Yeah, pirouettes are on point are very scary. And it's like you said, it's like nice to hear that even someone who started point early is even scared too. So
Mhm.
that's nice. I think I think even like if you do it scared, it can even get rid of the fear, like
Yeah, I hope
exposure.
so.
Yes.
I have
Okay.
to find out, but we'll
Yes.
see.
I will try that. I will try that the next time I go into dance. Yeah. Um and so you also said that you dance 6 hours a day, right? Because it's a conservatory
Mhm.
style. Is it, how do you take care of your physical and mental being? Because I know in my summer intensives, my body and my mental, or mostly my body, it was so tired. And how do you do that every day? But it's not a summer intensive, it's your everyday. How do you do that?
Um, a phenomenal recovery team, and honestly, a lot of support from my family. I know, like, not every dancer has that, especially the dancers that are um, moving away from home, living on their own, especially in a summer intensive. You're boarding, if maybe, so it's hard. But when you're doing something this rigorous, the work cannot stop when you're out of class. Like you have to do the extra work that is the rest and recovery because that does count as work for the job. Like you have to prepare your body for the next day. I'm in a peculiar situation right now where I had to move back home. So I live in Jacksonville, but I dance in Orlando. So I'm driving from Jacksonville to Orlando every single day.
Oh wow.
I'm driving around 4 or 5 hours a day for class.
Oh wow.
Um, so my routine has to be down to the minute. Like it has to be very precise to make sure that I'm getting everything in and that I'm taking care of myself with the added physical strain of driving. Um, so yeah, Epsom salt baths, rolling out, stretching constantly has helped me a lot actually. Like even in between combinations, like always working out a muscle, especially if they're tighter. Quads for me are huge, quads and calves. And then like nutrition, making sure that your body's getting what it needs. I find that if I'm tired a lot, I'm not getting enough carbs, or maybe I'm not getting enough like healthy fats. So I'll add more avocado. I'll do more bread or more like crackers here and there. Making sure I'm drinking enough water, electrolytes, all of the things that everyone is always told to do, but just really making sure that you're doing them. Because I thought that I was, but I was not doing it enough to make a difference compared to the load that I was putting on my body. Um, and your body does adapt. Doing an intensive is peculiar because you're there for maybe like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. My intensive was 5 weeks, so I got a little bit more of a taste of it. But those first 3 weeks were like, well, week one was fine. Week two was like, oh, I'm tired. Week three, exhausted. Oh, I was so tired. And then like week 4 and 5, I was like, oh, okay, I'm getting it. I'm getting it now. Um, but yeah, intensives are a struggle when you're doing that all day, every day. You have to learn how to listen to what your body in particular needs. You will find so much health advice online and all of it's great information, but you have to find what works for your body. And you have to find what helps you recover because like what helps one dancer might not help you as much. Like something else might be more beneficial. Um, so just over time, tweaking your recovery routine and making sure that like you're getting what you as a dancer need is the only reason that I am able to like wake up the next morning and get to class.
Wow. That's that's really good advice, especially the part about maybe you think you might be eating healthy or you might be rolling out, but maybe you're not doing it enough.
Yeah.
That's really helpful. And driving, how far is it from Orlando?
It's about like depends on traffic.
Uh,
So it's my way there is like a 2 hour drive. My way
oh
home
my
is like 2 hours and 45 minutes ish because I have to stop for gas too. So like around 3 hours to
God.
get
Wow.
home.
That's
So
that's um that's a really long drive.
yes, it's temporary, but for this season, it honestly I'm kind of thankful for it because it forced me to really like dissect my schedule and my routine because when I lived in Orlando, it was really easy to be like, I'll get to class at like 8:40 when we start at 9. You know what I mean? Like it was really easy to be like, oh, it's 10 minutes away. Oh, I'll go home and I'll watch some TV first and then I'll stretch. You know what I mean? Like it having so little time now, it forced me to be like, okay, I gotta really know what I'm doing. Like I have to really, and now like that I've built these habits, like I love being at the studio an hour early. I love like getting home, bath, stretch, dinner, rest, sleep, out. It's, I feel so much better even though I'm doing more. It's really helped it's really helped me stay focused and like hone in on what makes me a healthier dancer for sure.
Mm, that's amazing. Yeah, I'm also guilty of because I think I live around like 15 minutes away from my studio, so I'm also guilty of. But maybe I should like really block my schedule. Yeah. Um, for the closing question, for someone who thinks that they're too old or they're too behind or not good enough to start dance or anything that they love, what would you want them to know?
Your brain is incredible, but it will always find an excuse to keep you doing whatever is comfortable, even if the comfortable thing is not what's best for you. So if you're in a set routine of something, of whatever that may be, it will always try to find a reason to keep you there, even if you know that you really want to start the new thing, even if you know that like, well, a ballet class seems fun, but I'm too old. Ballet class seems fun, but like, it's just I don't know how to work it into the schedule. Like, there will always be a justification as to why you shouldn't. But you also have the power to not listen to that and be like, no, I want to try it. No, I will make the time. I'm like, I just want to see what it's like, regardless of whatever the reason may be. I think like, the biggest piece of advice that I was given, or the biggest concept that I worked on with my mindset coach, is that you are not the voice of the mind, you are just the one that hears it. So you have the power to hear what's happening in your head and decide if you want to listen to that or if you want to not listen to it and to try the new thing, regardless of whatever your head is telling you.
Mm, thank you. That's really good. Yeah, it's very empowering and it's really inspiring. And I know a lot of people will be inspired about your story and what you have to say. It's truly really inspirational, and I've been watching your videos. They're really good and they really make an impact, especially me. It's really motivational. And thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me again. This is a really cool opportunity. This
Yeah.
is very special.